Hello, this is Toby Bears with DM Answers. In this video, I will demonstrate how to build a classification model using the text mining results created previously. Statistica Data Miner has three different ways to create models. The easiest way is with the data miner recipes, which I demonstrated in the webinar I did for StatSoft. The second way is using a data mining workspace, which I've indicated over here. This might be preferable for advanced data miners as it allows for more flexibility than the data miner recipes. The third way is to use the data mining algorithms directly. This is what I'll demonstrate today. I prefer to use boosted trees to create classification models for text mining results. Boosted trees tend to avoid overfitting problems inherent to neural networks or support vector machines. So without further ado, I will go ahead and click boosted trees model. I'm doing a classification analysis. Click OK, and then check here and select the variables. The dependent variable is the classification, which is the expert classification given by the human expert. And then I click here for the continuous predictors using the text mining results that we generated in the last video. Click OK, continue with current selection. I can select the response codes. Genetics and non-relevant are the only ones in this particular data set. I say OK. If I wanted to, I could specify different misclassification costs and different prior probabilities. I will just use equal and estimated, which are the defaults. Under the advanced settings, the learning rate is defaults at 0.1, and the number of additive terms, which is the number of boosted trees that will be created, is 200. I'll just stick with the defaults. I will not specify a test sample, and by doing so, Statistica will just randomly pick 30% of the data to be able to be a holdout sample. Go ahead and click OK, and the 200 trees are created very quickly, and we can now analyze the results and see how this boosted tree model did. I can look at the test sample, which this is the holdout sample, predicted versus observed by classes. You can see here that for non-relevant, these are the observations to be non-relevant by the expert. There were none of these that were misclassified. All 12 of them were correctly identified. For the ones that were identified as genetics, 19 were correctly identified, 5 were incorrectly identified by the algorithm as being non-relevant. I could also go back and look at all samples, so this would be everything in the data set, and I can see here again that non-relevant, the model does very well, and there are only 5 of the samples that are misclassified for the genetics observed by the human. So this actually looks like it's a pretty good model. If I'm satisfied with the results, I could go ahead and export the PubMed, which I'll show in just a second. But I just want to show you a couple of other diagnostics that we can do here. We can do the lift chart. So we see here, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger, make it a little more viewable to those watching this by the video. This is the lift chart for non-relevant, and if I click here, this is the lift chart for genetics. So both of them look like they're doing pretty well. Let's go ahead and create the PubMed, which is under the Report tab, and I click on the drop down for the code generator, and I select PubMed, which stands for Predictive Model Markup Language, which we can use this code to score other data sets, which would be advantageous because we have the rest of the results that we obtained from PubMed that we'd like to score, and so we could use this PubMed to do so. Let me just pull this over so you can see this a little bit better. I'm going to right click on this and say Save Item As, and I'll just say this is the boosted tree, so I'll just say BT and then underscore PubMed. It's defaulting to XML, and I'm just going to save this into my documents, put this in the blog, and I'll just say I'll save it there. I'm going to have a follow-up video in about a week instead of 2 weeks this time, and I'll also show you how to deploy other models using Statistica Visual Basic macros. And I'm going to demonstrate how you can automate this whole process so you wouldn't have to do this by hand. Anyway, I thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to visit my blog, dmanswers.com, and post there with any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.